Hello everyone, Steve here. So for today's video, well, actually no. Before I do start the video, I just wanted to kind of not address, but it's been a while that I haven't uploaded a video of me just yapping. The reason for that being simply because of I've been busy for the past few days. Um, I've been very busy for the past few days, so I didn't really have any time to upload a video. And also, if you guys probably would notice by now, I've got a haircut, got a buzz cut, which not really so. Which to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of. Pretty much I kind of miss when my hair was all grown out. But since my parents always 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 nagging of course about me growing out my hair. But I'm not here to be talking about my haircut. I just want to be talking about probably the title of the video, that being I believe, that being, I think Dragon Ball in One Piece is very glazed, very glazed. The reason why I'm talking about this is pretty much I had a talk with my friend yesterday about about pretty much anime, of course, the reason why we got into what got us into anime, and also what are the animes we've watched so far, as well as catching up, of course, of what we've been doing, about what have we been doing, pretty much, yeah. And one of the things I mentioned, of course, that being was that sure, I'm a that being because my friend told me, of course, that he watches well, he has watched some of the episodes of the old Dragon Ball series, as well as some of the episodes, but mostly no, but mostly seeing clips of them, on social media. Same goes for One Piece, which the which I'm surprised, of course, that which I'm not really surprised, of course, since both Dragon Ball and One Piece are very popular, of course. When it comes to anime, of course, us, since I think I Show Speed, of course, is a big One Piece fan, and I know for Dragon Ball is very popular in Mexico. However, one thing I do know about, but one thing, of course, and that being is both One Piece and Dragon Ball. There's a butt ton of episode. Yeah, for the shows, of course, there's a butt ton of episodes, as well as movies, which take up a lot of time. I'm to the people who probably watch every all the episodes of Dragon Ball and One Piece, as well as the movies, or essentially consume all media of them, of course, is very impressive, because they literally have to spend 8,000 hours of their lives, dedicated to this, which I do have mad respect for. But also, another thing I told my friend about, that being because I feel even though sure, Dragon Ball, sure, I don't mind Dragon Ball and One Piece, of course, of what they represent, of course, and why people love, and why people love the series. However, I feel those two are very glazed, a lot, are very glazed, of course, because they've been since the very glazed, since they've been around for a very long time. I don't know how long. I know for Dragon Ball, it first I think getting pop. Yeah, it was I think the first ever anime came out around the 80s, while One Piece came out in the 90s. I think late 90s. I don't know. I probably have to double check that. But either way, these two, they've been around for a very long time and gained a very massive fandom, of course. But sometimes which sometimes the fandom lays the series way too much, to the point that they end up I don't know, thinking Dragon Ball and One Piece are probably the best two animes, or best two I don't know, series, is compared to other ones, which is going a bit too far, because sure, I do respect for what One Piece and Dragon Ball represents. However, there's still other series that that still which still represents, still goes with none of it, that represents the same thing as those two, either and either do a better or an equal, either do better, either do a better or equally good way of what the of those shows, because I feel when it comes to anime, or Japanese media, I feel well, for me, the two series, of course, I feel they are very inspirational, or well, of course, of course, for some people, well, for some people, of course, they're gonna name Dragon Ball and One Piece, but for me, I feel the ones, well, for ones that I feel that perfect, the the face, or yeah, the face, or the face or the mother or father anime are Berserk and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Like those are my two picks, since they've also been around for a while. However, and also made a very big impact on like media as a whole in their own way, which I do really like. And also like those two series aren't really like glazed as much, of course, compared to like Dragon Ball and One Piece, as well. Yeah, they're not as glazed as much, of course, and they're also equally as popular as it. However, of course, not many people know about it due to like that being they're very like gruesome, of course. That being like, well, yeah, for both Berserk and Neon Genesis Evangelion, like they go into some like very heavy topics, of course, which I'm not sure if like new fans will be able to handle. But either way, they're still like really good series. However, those series also do have a bit of the what's the word? Yeah, there are like a few fans, of course, that do kind of like ruin the reputation of it. But I won't get really into that. But either way, yeah, so yeah. But either way, of course, like those are my two picks of like the face of anime, or in other words, the mother and father of Japanese media. So yeah. And I'm not sure, of course. I'm kind of not. I'm not gonna receive like any hate from people for like for calling Dragon Ball and One Piece, heavily glazed. And when my friend heard that, of course, it kind of hurt him a bit. However, he did respect my opinion, of course, of like of like the reason why, I stated that. But when it comes to like saying that to either someone, I mean, a random One Piece or Dragon Ball fan, or even saying it on the internet, yeah, I'm probably gonna get jumped. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for today's video. Yeah, and I'm probably gonna be uploading yeah, two more videos tomorrow and the day after. So yeah, bye bye.